We're back. It's been a while. Not much has changed, as you can probably tell by the fact that I haven't uploaded in a while. But today, as you've read probably by the title, we are going to be working on none other than the spoiler. Yes, that is right. We finally got another piece in. It's all painted, all ready to go. The spoiler is from Mr. Body Kits. If you haven't checked out their website, I highly recommend that. You're going to look at how to put it together. There's a bunch of screws, all of that. So let's get right into it. Before you start assembling the spoiler, all of that, you do need to do some work on the car, i.e. getting the spoiler off and just drilling an extra hole for the new spoiler. Once you open up the boot, there's two screws that you can see here and here. It's the same on the other side. They're both 10mm, so we're just going to use a 10mm socket to remove them, but this bottom one can get removed with a Phillips head, depending on what you want to do. So let's take those off now. Alright, once you've got all the screws off, pretty straightforward from there, it should just come right off. There is adhesive underneath the spoiler, so just watch out for that. You can use any sort of adhesive dissolver. We use orange power, but anything that just gets rid of stickers, residue, stuff like that should help. Just once it's off, it is pretty thick, so you will spend a bit of time getting it off, but let's take it off and get through that. Alright, so we've got it off, we've got most of the residue off. As you can see, there's a little bit left over. Just take your time with it. A little bit of paint did go with it. It is getting covered back up with the new spoiler, so not too much to worry about. We'll give it a proper wipe down, get rid of any of the dirty water that's sitting there. But yeah, old spoiler can get put away. You can sell it, bin it, whatever you want to do. We're going to hold on to it just in case. So in the kit, you'll get these two parts. These remain unpainted because they all get covered. You will never see them. If you so choose, you can get them painted, but you might as well save the dollar and just leave them as they are. Because of the screw positioning on these, this one, well, you'll be able to work it out. One sits on one side, the other one sits on the other side. This bottom screw here will line up with this bottom hole. And all we need to do with this top one over the far side is just drill an extra hole, because the original hole doesn't line up with it. So the original hole's there and the new hole we want's about there. So all we're going to do is screw this one down in place so we know where it's going to sit. Mark this new hole off, and then we're going to drill some holes. So we'll put it on using the black screw. As you can see, the one that we just took off from actually the bottom. What we've noticed is that the screw hole for this new bottom piece actually lines up with this little cutout here. As you can see, just where my finger sits, lines up pretty much perfectly with that. So all we're going to do with both sides is the same hole on the other side. We're going to drill through that because it's a bit thinner metal, should make it easier. And then we don't have to worry about marking it, and we know exactly where it should be and the size we need. So let's take these back off and we'll drill through those now. So there we go. Take your time at the start just to line it up right. It does require a bit of force, and just find a way to brace the boot so that you're not flexing it and it's not wobbling as you're trying to drill. But now you should end up with 3 holes on both sides. So this is the one side, and here's the other. From the front end, let it come back around. So you'll end up with the one at the top, that will be your main one. One that you won't use, and now your brand new one. So that one will get completely covered. We'll come across, we'll show what we're going to do to seal it so no water just leaks through. Even though it will only go into this water runoff area, better safe than sorry in case you get somewhere it's not supposed to. So now that we've done that, let's get back into how to assemble the spoiler. A lot of this assembly you're going to see me down the ground because it's just putting pieces next to each other, screwing them in. To start off with, we have this piece that we showed before on how we drilled it. This remains unpainted. You want to grab this sort of outer arm piece. From here, you grab the 2 corresponding pieces. Just work out which one. You do have 2 of each, one for the left and one for the right hand side. Quite simply, it slides in. It may need a bit of negotiating as it gets under all the pieces, but once it slides in, easiest way to tell is you'll have a bunch of smaller circles here. They will all line up. You'll be able to see it all the way through. And you look on the other side as well, you'll see a screw hole, and there'll be 2 additional holes that you'll be able to put through. I'm going to show you how to put these 2 pieces together in a second. You'll want to grab your bag of goodies that came with it. They're all your screws, they're pop rivets, and everything that needs to bind it all together. But let's have a look at the other side. Pretty much the exact same process as the first one. Make sure it's faced up the right way. This face will be going in to the spoiler, and it just slides in like that. Depending on who got it painted, it may warp a little. So yeah, just give it a bit of negotiating. Once it's all slid in, you'll be able to line up those holes and it'll all look good. So let's go grab our little bag of bolts and bits, and let's put these 2 pieces together. Out of your bags, you want to get all of your pop rivets. They're all going to get used across these 2 parts right now. Get them out of the way. Easiest thing you want to do, just line them up. They'll be going in from the bottom, so they'll be flush along the bottom. Pretty straightforward. It's the only entry hole. It makes the most sense. There wasn't really any instructions on how to put this together that came with it, so I'll be a tutorial for this video, and this is basically the way I think it should go together. It makes the most sense to me. If you find a better way to do it, leave a little comment down below. I'll have a read. I'll give it a little thumbs up or even a heart if I think it's a pretty good suggestion. But let's put all of these in and let's get them sorted. Before I go and finalize them in, you will need a pop rivet gun. Let's get it all sorted. Once it's all done, you'll have them all in on both sides. One of them did unfortunately fall out for me. For whatever reason, the hole doesn't fit it. So there you go. It might be handy to have a couple of these spare because they give you pretty much exactly the amount that you do need. But one missing isn't going to ruin this whole thing, so we keep moving forward. The next piece you are going to need is... Okay, a little bit of an oversight. The drawers do not have instructions with the part that you're making. Pop rivet this next part after you've mounted it. So this piece that doesn't get painted will have a series of screws, and I'll show you that in a second. Basically screw that into your top spoiler piece. Once that's properly mounted, slide this black piece that I showed before in, then pop rivet it. If you followed my steps and rushed before looking ahead, sorry, but you can still get in there just with some pliers, and the rest of them are on the outside, so you should be able to get to them pretty simply. So just take your time, like with anything with these. Just get in there and just slowly screw them in. So here's that other piece, the non-painted piece. You can see there's a series of holes along the outside, and then there's this black piece. The holes on the black piece will screw into the spoiler as well, but just screw in these 5 screws. They will all be this massive series of silver screws that you'll see. It'll be the one that has the most amount with it. All of those will mount for all of these holes. Pretty straightforward. When you're looking at the screws, that will cover majority, then you can sort of narrow it down from there. But yeah, let's get both these halves on, and then we'll show you how to correctly do the step after that. Alrighty, so the next piece we're going to put on are these long black pieces. You'll get these painted same color as whatever you make this outer leg piece, or inner leg piece I should say. Work out which side goes where. It should just slide in, it will fit exactly right, and you'll just need 3 screws to go in there, and they will just simply be little self tappers. If it will focus on it, there we go. Pretty straightforward, and that just uses little Phillips head. So let's screw those in. Alrighty, so once you've done those 3 screws on both sides, this is what it'll look like. The screws should pretty much blend in, you won't notice them. They should just sit below flush, or if not, they will be flush with the side. Pretty straightforward. The next piece we're going to go is one of the final pieces before we mount it on the car, which is the massive long underside piece that sits here. So let's get that, and I'll show you how to tuck it in and get it set before you screw it in. Alrighty, so you get your piece. All you're going to do is line up the curves on both sides. You can go based on the holes. You can look how they're positioned. to line it up. It's got these little divots on it. So all you need to do, it can be a little tricky. You sort of just need to force it in. So on this side, just line it up and push it in. Makes it nice and flush. All of this should go into place. This side, you want to push down a bit till it clicks, because you want to get it underneath. It can be a little tricky. So just like with pretty much every other part on this, just take your time and make sure it goes in right. There we go. So there's that side in. And then you sort of want to balance it. It's not going to be completely like even on both sides. So all you want to do is just look through any of these holes, line them up center. But once that's done, it'll be right to screw in. All of these extra screws, they just use a little hex head sort of Allen key style. There'll be washers separate, so just put the washers in, and they'll go into all of these holes. There's about 10 of these, 10, 11. There should be the same amount of holes, but we're about to find out, see if we're missing any. Alrighty, so as we can see, you'll have 6 of these silver screws, the same ones we used to mount this piece onto the side. You'll have 6 of those left. 3 go 1, 2, and 3, and then on the other side 1, 2, and 3 in the same pattern. The rest of these little Allen keys slot in with the washers that we showed before. That just tightens all of this piece down. And outside of that, this is all ready to mount on the car. So without further ado, let's pull the car back in, let's put it on and see how it looks. Alrighty, so the car's back in, we've got it ready. What are these called? Gaskets, yep. We've got some of these just to put over the top, just to act as a seal so no water gets in. It covers that screw that's no longer going to be used, just so there's not excess water going down that isn't needed. Helps also seal any loose bits of metal from when we did drill. You can put some sort of rust protector or whatever, but this should stop the majority of it. You can use a screwdriver just to puncture holes through it so you can get the spots right for when you screw them back through. But for now, let's get this all aligned. You're going to have to hold it as you raise the boot. Unlike the normal spoiler, it has a little screw that will hold it in place as you screw it in. This we sort of have to do a balancing act. So let's see how we go. That definitely looks a lot better than the old spoiler, as you've probably seen throughout all the videos and photos if you follow the Instagram page. If you don't, I'll leave a link in the description. This looks a lot better. I can actually fit my hand underneath. Should make it easier for cleaning. Also gives it a bit nicer of a look, especially when it's driving. It should look a lot more nice. There is these little clips for that third screw. It kind of just sits there. So what we're gonna do is we've got some molding glue, some description. I'll have a look.
It's called Auto Sikaflex.
Sikaflex, yep, that stuff. We're just gonna use that. It's just gonna permanently sit it there. We realistically never have a need to access inside here after this point anyway. Both screws can be accessed from inside the boot. So we're just doing lines. You can do the same. If you find a way to mount it in a way that it can come off, on and off, let me know. That'd be great to see. But we're just doing this. We shouldn't have any other need for that. Should set overnight. The car's going to be in here overnight, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Should be good to go tomorrow. When it's daytime again, I will get some shots in the day, show what it looks like when it's driving, and we'll go from there.